Acroscopic Studios' grey logo spins on a black screen. Acroscopic Studios appears on the bottom of the screen while Jeffery, the main character, is sleeping on a colourful floral patterned couch with a Bible on his chest. He wakes up with a stretch that knocks a glass cup off the hassock.
Jeez, peace, man.
Kevin Swaby appears at the bottom of the screen. Jeffery is now seated upright with a look of frustration. He looks around on the mess he created.
What kind of cross is this for me this morning?
He takes a beat to regain his composure. Directed by Rick Roy Williams appears at the bottom of the screen. He gets up and walks into another room. Comes back with a broom, then proceeds to sweep the broken pieces of glass. He stoops, takes up a placemat, puts down the broom.
Let me see what I'm going for the phone here. Serious thing. But the plug in.
He clicks the button.
Not tell me, say.
He flips the light switch up and down to see if there is power. No light. He holds his head back, closes his eyes, and folds his lips, trying to hold his frustration. He walks to another room in the house. Jeffery alights from the front of the house.
So fly high, fly low with that phone you need for charge.
He opens a short veranda gate, then walks down a short flight of stairs. He's wearing a washed blue overall. He walks to a very crowded garage and takes up a car battery. Jeffery then makes his way to a small wooden table at the side of the yard. He then goes back for a blue crate filled with electrical wires. He brushes dust from the table. His glasses falls. He picks it up, puts it on while sitting on the table. Jeffery retrieves a phone from his overall. Then something else that is not seen. He tries to untangle wires from the crate, stops, puts on a pair of black gloves, places a cap on the battery terminal, then proceeds to use a knife to strip the electrical wire. He now has a car charger power with a phone cable plugged in and proceeds to attach the electrical wire he stripped earlier. He connects a clip to the negative terminal on the battery, then pauses. He carefully goes through all the connections he made for his rig, connects the second clip to the positive terminal, picks up his phone, then plugs the charger into the phone. Nothing happens.
You know, so you're not gonna do that though. Oh.
Finally, the battery signal comes up. He leaves the phone to be charged and walks to another part of the yard. Jeffery is walking and putting on his gloves. He stops at an old deep freezer, fixes his gloves, opens the freezer and takes out an electrical saw. He walks away from the freezer, places the saw on a board, then walks to another end of the yard and takes up an electrical wire. He walks back to where he had placed the saw.
Hold on there.
He stops, looks to the rig he made for his phone, hangs his head in disbelief and walks back with the electrical wire he had just retrieved. He places it back where he had taken it from, shakes his head in frustration. Gets up, then walks slowly away to the front of the house. Jeffery sits on the top step, takes off his gloves, then his glasses. Then stares at the scenery of the front of his yard and shakes his head. It's a lot of trees and shrubs and a long driveway.
You know what? I'm gonna mash up soul food.
He then takes off his shoes, takes them up, gets up and heads inside the house. Jeffery is in the kitchen. He walks to the cupboard and opens it. He's not amused. He then takes out a tin of mackerel and a bag of flour, then pauses, then takes out a bottle of seasoning. He places all the ingredients on the counter. He takes up a pot, places it in the sink, and turns on the pipe.
So no light, no water.
He takes a jug, goes outside, and catches some water from the pipe in the yard.
A good thing water in I tank.
Back inside, he washes his hands, focusing on his fingernails. He dries his hands with a kitchen towel, pours water in the pot, then places it on the stove. With a lighter, he lights the burner, then adds salt to the water and covers the pot.
Place here get hot fast here, man.
He then removes the upper part of his overall and fixes it at his waist. He then proceeds to make dumplings. And places them in the boiling water. He stirs the pot, then covers it. He's now outside. He checks on his phone. It's 2:10 p.m., a battery at 22%, but no service. He takes up the battery with the phone and walks to the back of the house.
Alright, nice. Battery at charge.
He places the battery at the top of the steps that leads to the kitchen. He goes inside.
Can't wait for the day when the yard have good service too.
Jeffery takes up another pot and places it on the front of the stove. He attempts to light the front burner, but nothing. He shoves the pot to the back of the stove, then lights the back burner. He opens the tin of mackerel and empties it in the pot. He sprinkles some powdered seasoning in it. He gives it a quick stir. Jeffery then goes back to check on the phone. It is 3:13 p.m., a battery at 37%, but still no service. He walks back inside and checks on the mackerel. He turns off the flame, then puts down the spoon he used to stir. He checks on the dumplings, turns down the flame, then walks towards the living room. Jeffery opens the front door, steps on the veranda, then takes off his glasses. He proceeds to do push-ups.
There's rain, there's wind, lightning, there's
He's done with
thunder.
push-ups.
God's against me and my world set asunder. Any moment just
He slowly gets up.
And Solace.
He's now doing sit-ups.
There's fire, there's flood, there's heat, there's cold. God's against me as disasters unfold.
Jeffery is back in the kitchen. He turns off the flame, opens the pot, then takes up a plate and serves 2 dumplings with some mackerel on top of each.
Alright, Jeffrey, so 2 dumplings and the mackerel now. And later, you buy a next mackerel for the other 2? Yeah, man. Alright, that's all I got planned.
He walks to the dining room and sits at the table.
Yes, Father, give thanks for the food, you know?
He cuts the first dumpling in 2 halves.
And I pray you make it give me all the energy and the strength me need for take on it.
While cutting the second, 1 half of the first falls to the floor.
Amen.
He's frustrated but tries to hold it together. He eats what's left on the plate. Jeffrey opens the back door and steps outside. He wipes sweat from his face with a white rag, fixes his overall on his shoulder, then zips it up. He steps down, unplugs his phone and walks to another side of the yard. Jeffrey is now walking with 2 pieces of board over his shoulder.
Then you see all them sitting here. It's a good thing. Me never tell a lady that if you come pick up her bed, you know.
He places them on a piece of zinc that is atop his work table. He opens an old refrigerator, searches it with his eyes, then closes the door. He then looks under a flexible piece of rubber and takes out a handsaw. He takes up the 2 pieces of board, puts one to lean while he places the other on the wooden table he was seated on earlier. He takes the saw. Adjusts his glasses. He searches his overall, finds a pencil in his top pocket. Takes off his glasses, draws a line on the board and begins to saw. He stops, drops the saw, takes phone from his pocket. Data for Princess is the reminder on screen. He hurriedly grabs his glasses and walks away from the table. Jeffrey is leaving the yard.
But you are not just another human being.
He is now on the road. He goes down a hill, then up. He continues up a steep hill. As he gets to the top of the hill, he starts getting messages. Bed lady checks if her bed is ready.
And you know, me not check none of the Indian message.
He walks down another hill, then arrives at a community shop. He walks inside.
Afternoon, give me a $500 phone card and a small tin of mackerel, please.
He places some money on the counter. The shopkeeper hands him a phone card and a tin of mackerel.
This can buy the phone card and the mackerel, only can buy the phone card.
Look like a dumpling and butter tonight.
Well, me have to take the phone card.
He returns the mackerel, takes the phone card and his change and walks outside.
Thank you.
He scratches the back of the phone card to reveal the hidden numbers.
That happiness is relative.
He types the numbers on his phone to add credit to his account.
So if I am to believe that what I think I can achieve,
Jeffrey is now
my
walking towards his house.
achievement range is not
He
to
takes the phone
anything.
from the overall and starts to run.
Come, Jeffrey, shuffle up, man. Move fast, man. Almost time.
He quickly goes up the stairs, takes off his shoes, then climbs the short veranda wall, using a column for support while he stretches his hand with the phone in an attempt to get signal.
Princess!
Hi, Daddy!
How is Daddy's little girl?
I'm okay!
Princess! Princess!
The word Solace in all caps appears on a black screen. Credit roll. Thank you for watching our little film. We hope you enjoyed.